Hello everybody, I am Tom and you are watching me play Warframe. Today, we're going to go over my Mesa build. Mesa is one of my favourite Warframes. She's very, very good at killing things, which you always love in a Warframe. Alright, first things first, let's go over her abilities. Excuse me. First things first is her passive, I should say. Shoot dual wheel sidearms 15% faster and reload single-handed sidearms 25% more rapidly. And you gain bonus health if you're not using a melee weapon. And when it says not using a melee weapon, what it means is you go to your melee weapon and you equip nothing. So if we go here, what I'll show first is we have a look at Mesa. Her health is 405. If we go here, unequip that. Her health is now still 405, although I'm pretty sure that's because I did it in the simulacrum, and the simulacrum breaks things. If I were, for instance, to go... Give me a second. Let's leave the simulacrum. The simulacrum is very bad at, like, showing stats. Unfortunately, it's still very, very broken in there. I kind of wish they'd fix it, because it'd make it easier for making my videos, but I do recognize that there aren't many people who use the simulacrum that often, except for YouTubers who make videos. If we now look at her health, still 405. Weird. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's just the simulacrum being weird. It should be 455 is what my health is currently, like actually. But her first ability is Ballistic Battlecry. Sorry, Ballistic Battery. When activated, you store like a bunch of power in your gun, and it'll count up to 100, and when it's at 100, the next shot you take will do like all of that damage at once and do a huge amount of damage. The biggest problem with this ability is that the cap is way too low. So like the amount of damage you're doing, it's easier just to hit your 4 and kill everything with your 4 instead. So essentially it's like a charge up and then shoot. That's all it is. You see there the limit there is 2,480. That's nothing. Like, with the amount of damage that Mesa can pop out normally, like 2,400 damage is nothing. Shooting Gallery. Shooting Gallery is very, very good. You give, I'll just read it. Gives an ally extra damage while jamming the guns of nearby enemies. This power shifts between team members. The shifting between team members and giving an ally extra damage, they're fine. What this is really for is jamming the guns of enemies. That's where it's useful. Excuse me, I'm coughing constantly. I'll hopefully remember to cut all these out of the video. But essentially, the enemies will stand there going, oh no, my gun's jammed. Whack, 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 playing with their guns. And that stops people being shot, which is also very, very nice. Her third ability is always have this on. This is Shatter Shield. This is 90% damage reduction. In fact, 95% damage reduction on my build. You envelop Mesa in a barrier of energy, reflecting back incoming bullet damage. So essentially, you don't die if you have your 3 up. And then finally, it's the true McCree of McCrees. Peacemaker. She will just pull out her regulator pistols and shoot everything within inside her line of sight, essentially. In fact, it's not even strictly speaking her line of sight, it's your line of sight. So if you, like, stand around a corner and, like, look around the corner with the camera, she'll be able to shoot through the wall and kill the things on the other side of the wall. But all of these are better shown than they are telling. So let's just go to the test. What is it taken off? I don't understand why it just sometimes screws up with my... It just screws with my... It's taking the bombards off, right? Yes. Why? I don't get it. It just sometimes screws with my list of enemies I want. I don't know why. Alright, let's go with the level 50 test first, just because it'll be funny. Alright, they're all dead. So, that's a thing. Alright. I'll actually show off the build. Because, once again, I forgot to do that, because I'm an idiot. But, if we look at this build, we have Corrosive Protection. Getting rid of armor, always good. armor is the worst thing in this game as far as enemies' health scaling, so if you can get rid of armor, always good. I actually have two builds for Mesa. This one has Mesa's Waltz in here. Sorry, once again, coughing like a madman. This is an augment for her Peacemaker, which will allow her to move while she's shooting. As you can see I was doing there in her 4. Ordinarily you're stationary in your 4. If you have this mod, you can actually move around while you're shooting your 4, which has a lot of versatility. My other build, by the way, is identical. I just have Firewalker in here instead. That's the only difference. We start off with Prime Flow and Quick Thinking, these two here. So she has a bunch of energy. On this one she has 469. And Quick Thinking will keep you alive if, for whatever reason, you forget to hit 3. It'll keep you alive for a bit so you can survive. We have Prime Continuity for ability duration. I'll explain why that's there in a second. Transient Fortitude for ability strength, and it gets rid of some duration. Fleeting Expertise for efficiency, again gets rid of some duration. Narrow-Minded adds a bunch of duration at the cost of some range. Stretch gets most of that range back, and then we have Streamline just to finish off the efficiency. Once again, I'll point it out that both of these efficiency mods are at rank 4 because that will get you to 175% efficiency, which is what you want. Now, as for duration, the reason that I have modded for duration in this build is because duration also ranks into efficiency in a sense. The duration will affect the energy per second on her 4 as well as... Actually, no, just her 4. But the energy per second drain is affected by duration as well as efficiency. So, what you want is to have middling duration and maximum efficiency, would be my suggestion, on pretty much any Mesa build, and then other than that you can build her however you like, really. The reason that I haven't tanked her range that much, you may think that her range is irrelevant, because most of these things, as you can see, aside from Shatter Shield, like, that doesn't really matter. There's range on Shooting Gallery. Again, that doesn't really matter that much. However, range will also affect, as you can see here, the field of view is 15%, which is base. If you take your range much lower, that field of view will narrow down, so the amount of people you can shoot with your 4 will get smaller. You don't want that too small. So I keep her range around about 100. I could do some weird modding to get it exactly 100. This is negative 48, this is plus 45, which is why we're sitting at 97. Also, I think I showed this, but the second build exactly the same, but Firewalker rather than Mesa's Waltz, only difference. Hey everybody, it's me back again. I realized while I was editing this video that I forgot to show off her Regulator build, which is kind of important. She has an Exalted Weapon, which is her Regulators, which is where all the damage comes for her 4, so it's very important to show this, and I completely forgot, because I'm an idiot. So I'm going to splice this into the middle of the video, just after the build. If we go here, show this build here. This only takes 2 Former on Mesa Prime. Granted, if you were to have more optimal, it would take 3 Former to get this slightly more optimal. However, this build here, we start with Hornet Strike, which is straight damage on pistols. Prime Target Cracker, which is critical damage on pistols. Prime Pistol Gambit, which is critical chance on pistols. Critical chance before critical damage, it's just better. It's also worth noting here, by the way, that if you don't have the Prime versions of these mods, don't worry about it. Regular ones are fine. The Prime ones are better, and you should buy them when they become available, but in all honesty, like, the regular ones will still dish out ludicrous amounts of damage. Anemic Agility. This mod here, you may not have if you're a newer player. It's kind of esoteric to get. However, this will up your fire rate by 90%, but it'll lower your damage by 15%. 15% damage. Ordinarily, this is a pretty shit mod for a couple of reasons. Shut up, Orders. God damn it. Oh, Orders. This is the one problem with doing it in your ship rather than Simulacrum, is that Orders doesn't shut up. But essentially, ordinarily on most guns, this isn't a good thing, because if you up your fire rate by 90%, sure, you'll be doing more bullets and probably more DPS, even with the 15% damage drop, but on an ordinary weapon you have to reload. Her Regulators don't have to reload, so faster fire rate just means extra damage with no downside. So your DPS just goes up significantly with Anemic Agility on there. Prime Heater Charge, once again, regular Heater Charge, perfectly fine, but this is just heat damage. We have Jolt for electricity damage and status chance. So that gives us radiation on this build here. Lethal Torrent is fire rate and multi-shot, and then barrel diffusion is just more multi-shot. So essentially it's a very normal crit build gun, and then I have radiation on this build. On this build here, pretty much the same, except I have corrosive damage. So we have pathogen rounds and convolution on here. Also, instead of having anemic agility on this one, I actually have Auger Pact for more damage. So this is essentially just maximum damage corrosive, and this one here is higher fire rate, slightly less damage radiation. But these are the two builds I have for it. As I said, 2 former investment for these. If I had all these mods at max rank, which honestly the only reason I haven't is because the actual increase I get, I just haven't been bothered farming the endo. Like, the endo to get this is kind of enormous, and I would have to form a whole bunch of things that, like, all of my secondaries use these mods, pretty much. Like 90% of my secondaries use these mods. So I'd need to form like all my secondaries. It just takes a long time. I'm fine with a rank 9 pistol gambit and a rank 8 critical damage target cracker. But as it stands, these are the regulated builds. So back to the video proper now, where we'll show the level 145 test. Thanks. But as you saw there, I showed before the level 50 test is laughably nothing. If we go for level 145 test, it will also be equally nothing. But what you want to do is hit your 3. Mine lasts for 35 seconds, you can see there. So if I get shot, I'm not going to die immediately. Hit your 2. That lasts for a long time as well on this, 42 seconds. If we run up here, these guys have their guns jammed. You see them fiddling with them. We can hit my 1. Do some damage. You can see the counter on the 1 is now down, or up to 100 I should say. If we hit this again, the next shot we do will do, there you go, did 54,000 damage. So there was built up damage there. Hide behind here, hit your 3 again, make sure your 3 is always up, so keep an eye on that. But then your 4, you can see that the reticle is now quite small. If you want to reset that, you just go out of your 4 and go back into your 4. Should have killed the healer first, it would have made that arguably quicker. You hear that sound cue there? I'll cut that sound cue back in so you can hear it. That's what happens when your 3 disappears. There we go. They're all dead. So, she's very good at killing enemies. That's what she does. And as long as you keep your 3 up, you can survive for quite a long time. Like a fairly significant long time. You can survive. 2 and 3 together give her a huge amount of survivability, and her 4 melts enemies. She's a very, very good Warframe. You can see why I like her so much. She can do pretty much all content in the game pretty easily. Defense objectives, she can just kill everything around the defense objectives. Obviously exterminate, she's really, really good at. Spy, she's not particularly good at. She can do it, because all Warframes in the game can do spy, but there's nothing that she does that's particularly useful for spy. Same with rescue, nothing particularly useful except for killing all the enemies, I suppose. But her whole deal is, I kill things. I kill things a real fast. And I would shoot high level enemies if I could put higher level enemies on this, but I am capped at 145, unfortunately, because of my mastery rank at 23. But that's Mesa in a nutshell. She's quite easy to play. Essentially, you hit 2, hit 3, make sure 2 and 3 are always active, and then just hit 4 and murder. Just melt the enemies away. And that's pretty much her gameplay loop in a nutshell. You can use her 1 if you want some single target damage for, like, I don't know, a boss or something that isn't affected by her abilities. Because there are some enemies that won't be affected by her 4. And for those enemies, it's good to have a single target gun, like the Vectus Prime, for instance. They can do a lot of damage to single targets, just so you can take out the problem thing that you can't shoot, and then shoot everything else. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye.